The one seeking knowledge must abandon the traditional pathways of control manipulation to seek wilderness adventure and pursuit of first-hand mystical experience. Truth, vast in consequence, shapes religion for the prayerful mind, centered for answer and spiritual engagement. The desert, while a place of mass uncertainty, bids those seeking natural mystique to muster the courage to meet Elohim in divine transcendence. Some lessons are taught only by the wind, sun, moon, and song, hidden in the whisper of soft embellishments. Yah resides where the rainbow bridge settles on the northern horizon, disappearing into the vibrant aurora borealis, where the angel sun disappears in twilight invisibility beneath the enchanted night and her purple legion. Some lessons are meant only for the persistent seeker. The journey to lost paradise sometimes are not meant to be worded or shared, but beholden alone. Answer comes in many disguises. The challenge is decoding the experience to interpret the message. Sometimes one can only find what they seek in the smile of a new flower. Welcome, friends. I am your host, Zen Garcia. This is Momentary Zen on Revolution Radio. And I hope that everything is good, that you're able to hear me clearly. Let me pull up the chat. Make sure all is well. I pray that you are all doing well wherever you may be. Lisa is off tonight. She had to take her friend Mel to an appointment for her kidney transplant stuff. And so we will just pray for them as I pray for all of you. All right. Give me 1 second. This thing is acting weird. But I hope you are enjoying your summer, wherever you may be. I love the spring and summer months. The warmth, it helps me with the pain issues that I contend with. Cold really locks up my body, freezes up my muscles. Okay, it looks like things are going. The warmth. Okay. Hello, Bruno and Adrian and Brick. Tammy, good to see all of you. Let me make sure my sound is good. If you would, give me a shout out in the chat to let me know how the sound is. It seemed a little high, so I'm going to turn it down just a touch. I miss Rob as well. But hello, Sherry and Alan, Sword of the Lord. It's always good to be here with all of you this evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin hitting an all-time high. It actually hit 123. This is supposed to be the second in the series, but I see that it is labeled as the first show that we did. But anyways, we'll pick up. I'm only going to talk about crypto and mass adoption and some of the current happenings in regard to crypto and how the U.S. is trying to lead the charge with regard to becoming the world's reserve for Bitcoin, and also for AI technologies, which are moving hand in hand. And blockchain is certainly changing the world, much like the internet did back in the 90s. Many of you probably don't even remember all of that time. I was in college, and I often would skip school in order to trade internet stocks. I was a day trader at that time, and it was hyped up crazy like what we are witness to today. For those of you that may not be involved in any aspect of financial, and which, let me go ahead and declare that I am not a financial advisor. This is all for entertainment purposes only, and the opinions I will be sharing here are my own, and I will just simply be talking about my experiences because I have been involved in this space since 2017. And even though I don't cover it a whole lot in the shows that I do, those of you that have followed our work and that do come most every Wednesday evening to join us in live broadcasts, you know that I have been speaking about and giving people just tips on how to involve yourself in this space of crypto as far as investment, and how to add it, to diversify and include it as part of your portfolio. And what we see now, and as I've been talking about for many, many years, we see that Wall Street is moving rapidly to embrace this space, and that Trump just signed an executive order to give 401ks and people that have retirement portfolios the ability to include Bitcoin and other ETFs that have already come out over the course of this year, to include it as part of their 401k and their Roth IRAs. And so there's a flood of money entering into this space. In 2021, I believe it was the last time we had a bull run of equal measure, that the entire crypto market was only $1.5 trillion, which is really small. You have some individuals that have assets, personal assets, that are similar in the full summation of what the crypto industry and the markets are. But we see that there are individuals like Michael Saylor and others like Tom Lee that are creating companies, very smart individuals. What they're doing is they're creating companies to buy crypto and then to stake it. And what a lot of people don't know, if you're not familiar with blockchain and cryptocurrencies and how to include it and to take part in it, in as far as being an investment tool, a lot of cryptocurrencies have what is called staking. Staking simply means that you are able to lock it up for a certain period of time. And the longer you lock it up, the more yield you will incur. And your crypto will pay you. Of course, each one of the different cryptos are different as far as the amount of yield you can garner. But in the case of Ethereum, you can lock up Ethereum even on Coinbase and earn 3 to 5% interest just off holding it. And also, while you are holding it, it will compound. They will pay you your compound interest. They will pay you in Ethereum or whatever other crypto you are holding. Hello, Stephen. And so as the markets increase and the value of Ethereum rises, which, just for those who are not familiar, Ethereum went from $1,600 to almost $4,000 over the past few days. It's been a couple of weeks that it has increased in, which is a 72% rise in value. And, for people that are utilizing traditional investment models, a 4 to 7% to 10% rise over the entire year is considered to be very well respected. But for, in the crypto markets, you can have a particular coin rise even 100% in a single day. And the volatility is that if you don't take profits off of such a rapid move, you could have it also go down significantly in just as quick manner. And so what is difficult about this space is simply locking in profits. A lot of people will be very profitable even just doing what is called dollar cost averaging, which dollar cost averaging simply means that you pick a certain day, whether it's once a month, every other week, every week, whatever you can afford to do, and you just you set a time, say every third of the month at 5 p.m., and you have Coinbase or whatever platform you're using to accrue crypto. You just have it purchase a certain amount every month at that particular time, and the market, as it moves up and down, you will sometimes buy it when it's high, sometimes buy it low, but in the end it will average out. And everybody that has been an investor in Bitcoin, except for just recently at all-time highs at 123,000, if you bought then, you're going to be down a little bit on your money, but 95 to 99% of every person that has invested in Bitcoin is in positive. You're reaping the benefits, reaping the rewards of having done so, especially those that were very early adopters. I only got in 2017 when my family members were talking about it over Christmas. And unfortunately, it was No, it was Thanksgiving. And then in December of that year, I believe, it shot up to 20,000, and then it started to correct. And then it came back down to 3,000. Everybody lost interest. And then it started to make a run back up to what was 20 plus thousand, set another all-time high. And it's funny how it works that whenever Bitcoin hits an all-time high, you have a lot of people FOMO to try to get into the market. FOMO simply means the fear of missing out. And because there were such rapid gains in crypto, a lot of people started opening up accounts and started, investing and putting as much money as they could into the markets. And a lot of them did make money as long as they started taking profits at the top. And this is something that, a lot of people don't do. I would say a large percentage of the market buys, and as the markets go up, they don't take profits. They watch it go up, and then they watch it come back down. Good question. Nomad Ministries asks, what is Bitcoin backed by? Bitcoin is backed by consensus and the power of the network that utilizes it as a store of value. And you will have people actually talk about how Bitcoin is digital gold. The reason they call it digital gold is because, like gold, it is a store of value and it holds wealth. And the people that utilize the network, and because Bitcoin is finite in supply, meaning that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever mined and produced. And once that amount is out in the market, that's it. You can't create anymore. And this is all coded into the blockchain and into the crypto itself. And every transaction that ever takes place with Bitcoin, whoever buys it, receives it, and then sends it out or uses it for a transaction in purchasing whatever they are purchasing, there's a record of that on the blockchain. And so you cannot lie. You cannot just print more of it. And that is why people and entire countries are creating sovereign wealth funds. States are putting some of their pension money, retirement accounts. Wall Street is encouraging all of their investors to take 5 to 10% of their wealth and to park it into Bitcoin. And the reason they are doing that is because it was created after 2008, after the housing market debacle, and after banks failed. And the reason it was created is Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of it, he had the idea of creating a currency or a store of value which could not just be printed by central banks and could not be devalued by what is called quantitative easing. Quantitative easing is when the Federal Reserve prints money, buys the treasuries, or buys the market stocks and drives up prices. But because of their printing money and because Federal Reserve notes are not backed by anything but the goodwill and faith of the American people, they can print, non-stop printing, and they continue to flood the market with this easy money. And when this happens, it creates inflation. meaning that your dollar does not have the kind of purchasing power it once had. And there was a time when the dollar was actually backed by gold, but that was taken off of the board by Richard Nixon in 1970 sometime. So anyways, the reason you see Bitcoin rising in value is because there is a great demand for it. Not only, when you purchase it, you have just a whatever it is amount that you have. And the great thing about Bitcoin is you don't have to just own a full Bitcoin. You can own little pieces. It continues to divide. And the lowest denomination, a 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin, is called a Satoshi. And it's my opinion that at some point, Satoshis are going to equal 1 cent in value or more, meaning that Bitcoin itself will be $1 million per coin. And as I said, there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin mined and released to the public. And once we reach that amount, whatever is available on the market, that's what people are going to be fighting over. And so because of the finite supply of crypto, and because it is encoded into the contract, what are called the smart contracts, and encoded into the blockchain itself, and into each one of the cryptocurrencies on that blockchain, you can't make more of it. And so at the early Genesis adoption, the early availability of Bitcoin, it was pennies on the dollar, less than pennies on the dollar. People were able to buy a large number. I think the very famous, the purchase that bought 2 pizzas with Bitcoin, he paid like 10,000 Bitcoin to purchase these 2 pizzas, which $10,000 Bitcoin at the current prices would be an insane amount of money. If you consider, each Bitcoin right now is 118,000. Let me see what the current price is. Yeah, the current price of Bitcoin is $118,548 per Bitcoin. And it is valued differently according to the different nations' currency, wherever that may be, in whatever market, wherever the value of crypto is different. And so and again, I know that some of you are against crypto and you believe it to be the mark of the beast. And I do believe at some point the technology, it will get to, where it could be part of what is the AI and the sentience that comes about from, robots and all of that, Skynet, all of that we will reach at some point, that kind of inclusion. But for right now, it is a tool. It is a financial tool which is gaining ground and acceptance. And just recently, Trump and Congress and the Senate, they passed 3 bills which are making crypto adoption, and America is going to be putting in a lot of money into Bitcoin and other cryptos in order to accumulate and to back the dollar with. So they're going to actually, create a reserve currency, and they're going to allow the other great thing is they passed this bill called CBDCs, which is making it illegal for central banks, like the Federal Reserve, to create a digital currency and to monopolize transactions and the supply and demand of wealth in the world, which is good. That's a positive thing, because we want people to be able to decide for themselves where they want to park their money, where they want to put their investments, and what cryptos they support in order to diversify their portfolios. And so I'm gonna read these two articles just to give you a better idea. In the second hour of the show, I'm going to take questions, and I'm also going to read a few poems from the new book, which the opening poem was one of the poems from the first book, Seekers of Lost Paradise, which I did tell those of you that are, listeners and supporting our ministry that in writing this book, when I got out of the hospital last year on the 17th of July, it took me a couple of weeks to recover my strength and to get to the point where I was able to be productive again. And I decided at that time that I would work on a book of creative writing, and that I would release a book of poetry, which I hadn't done since, when was it, 2000? It's been a long time. My first 3 books were poetry books. But anyways, it's been at least a couple of decades. And so I wanted to do creative writing. I did not want to just write about a lot of what I was investigating. But I had a bunch of poems that I had written over the last couple of decades. And I had a leather-bound journal that had handwritten poems in it, and so I decided to convert that to book form and to release it as what is now going to be my latest 2-book series. It's as I said, it's creative writing. It's a poetry book. The first one called The Seekers of Lost Paradise. The second one, Remember From Whence Thou Art Fallen. And basically it is a focus on all the things that I've learned and come to knowledge on over the course of the last decade since 2014. That's where a lot of the poems pick up, and the whole awakening to biblical cosmology, to government-sponsored terror, false flag events, Ponzi economics. All of that is included in these 2 volumes. And because the book just continued to expand in page size, I had to divide it, and I decided to release it as 2 different volumes. And so that's the reason why I split up the book. But I'm going to read first an article on Bitcoin hitting a record 123,000, the all-time high, which just happened July 14th, so just about a week ago. And it's my opinion that we're going to continue to see Bitcoin hitting all-time highs as we go through the last 3 months of this year, and that we could reach 200,000 to 250,000 per Bitcoin, which is also going to drive up a lot of the altcoins. And the way that the market works and the way this cycle has worked is that a lot of people invest, especially Wall Street, invest in just the blue chips of crypto, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP. Those are the main because they are their own blockchains as well. And that's why Bitcoin has risen in price since, I think it was November of last year, or November of 2024, I believe. That Bitcoin was $15,000 a coin. And it ran up rapidly to 70,000 before it had much of a pullback. And then, we reached another all-time high when we went over 90,000, then 100,000, then 103,000, 106,000, 110,000, to where we are now at 118,000. And it's consolidating, meaning that it's moving sideways. People know we're in a bull market, so they are buying the dip, which is the strategy that I would recommend people do now. That if you are wanting to get into the market, which I did include a link, a referral link for a Coinbase link in the description of this show. You can use that to get $30 of free Bitcoin just by depositing a $100 into a fresh Coinbase account. And so it's something that, you could open up your own account and then tell your family members. And, both of you benefit $30 each. And, that's each family member. That can add up quite quickly. And remember that crypto has a chance to continue to increase in value. And so what might be a $30 value today could be a couple of hundred, even 1,000 in, 5 to 10 years. Who knows? All right, so I'm going to read this article. And then if you have questions, put them in the chat in all caps, and I will try to get to them. It says, Bitcoin vaulted past 120,000 for the first time on Monday, the latest milestone for the world's largest cryptocurrency, as investors bet on long-sought policy wins for the industry this week, which has been dubbed Crypto Week by the U.S. Republicans. Bitcoin rose more than 3% to register a record high of $123,153.22. Before easing, it was up 0.5% at $119,750.86. The cryptocurrency is now up more than 27% on the year, just this year. The Reuters Tariff Watch newsletter is your daily guide to the latest global trade. The U.S. House of Representatives is set to debate and likely pass a series of crypto-related bills this week. I'm going to read about those bills after this article. The bills could provide the digital asset industry with the nation's regulatory framework it has long sought, this is so important, because one of the dangers of involving yourself in the crypto industry is what is called rug pulls. And rug pulls are when people promise to create a certain type of crypto and they promise to deliver a certain result. And before they even get to that point, they allow people to invest in their cryptos. They take, pre-orders, or they sell coins to investors. And then even before they develop the network or bring, actually create the project, they will do what is called a rug pull, and they will steal people's money. Well, there was no repercussions for such behavior prior. But now, with the passing of the Clarity Act and this regulatory framework being put into place by the SEC, people cannot do that anymore. So it's going to make investing in crypto a lot safer. And there will be penalties for anybody that does either a rug pull or, like FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, when He stole a bunch of people's money that invested on his exchange. People are going to go to jail, and they're going to go to jail for very long times. And so that will be a deterrence. And so it will establish, the network will be much safer and also be monitored by the government, by policies, by law, so that, it's not a wild, wild west anymore. And so that's what the industry has been needing for a very long time. So, continuing. Those demands have resonated with U.S. President Donald Trump. Thank God for Donald Trump being a great supporter of cryptocurrencies. A Republican who has called himself the crypto president, and most certainly has. Markets are at an all-time high. The Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, a lot of the crypto companies like MicroStrategy, Coinbase, Robinhood, Circle, these stocks, which they back their stocks with the purchase of Bitcoin, they have blown up in value. You can look them up for yourself. But those are also increasing in value so much, it's crazy. And urge policymakers to revamp rules in favor of the industry. Quote, "It's riding a number of tailwinds at the moment," said IG Market Analysis Tony Sycamore, citing institutional demand, expectations of further gains, and support from Trump as reasons for the bullishness. It's been a very, very, very strong move over the past 6 or 7 days, and it's hard to see where it stops now. It looks like it can easily have a look at the 125,000 level, he said. I think it'll go much higher than that personally, but that's just my opinion. Trump and his family have made a series of forays into cryptocurrencies. Eric Trump is involved in one of the Ethereum companies that is accumulating Ethereum and then staking it. And the more they stake, they're getting 5 to 10% just by staking their crypto, which that's already better than Wall Street. In the past year, including a new crypto project, World Liberty Financial, and the launch in January of his own meme coin. Last week, crypto entrepreneur Justin Sun, who was already a major investor in the Trump coin, announced that he was buying another $100 million. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Sun's investment in the president's meme coin. Justin Sun is a crypto billionaire. He was the one that created Tron, which is also a very good crypto, and one that will, in my opinion, increase in value as well. And it's only like 20 cents a coin for Tron. The coin, which hit a high of around $75 in the day after its January launch, fell 3% Monday to $9.45. I really feel for all the people that invested in that. All right, continuing. The surge in Bitcoin has sparked a broader rally across other cryptocurrencies over the past few sessions, even as Trump's chaotic tariff policies have knocked sentiment in other markets. Ether, the second largest token, reached a high of $3,081.94, its highest level since February 2nd, but is still down more than 10% on the year. XRP advanced 2.7% after climbing as much as 6.4% on the day. I will tell you, XRP just created an all-time high as well, over $3 per token, which it wasn't maybe a year ago that it was like 50 cents a token. I'm going to take some water and then I'll get back on this. The sector's total market value has swelled to about $3.8 trillion, according to the CoinMarketCap, which is a website that keeps up with all of the prices of all of the coins and the total market, Bitcoin dominance, which is simply means how much money, which most money is in Bitcoin of the entire market. Ethereum's second, Solana and XRP are thereafter. Simon Peters, the analyst of eToro, noted that Bitcoin's price had not hit a record high in other currencies such as the euro, suggesting that dollar weakness was behind some of the rise to a new record on Monday. Crypto Week. U.S. Republicans have declared the week of July 14th Crypto Week, during which members of Congress are set to vote on the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. The most significant bill is the Genius Act, which would create federal rules for stablecoins. Stablecoins simply are pegged to the dollar. So if you invested in Bitcoin when it was $50,000 and it went to $100,000 and you wanted to take profit, you would convert your Bitcoin to what is called a stablecoin. And because a stablecoin is pegged to the dollar, it would equal 100,000 USDT or USDC. There's several different stablecoins. And so it would hold the value of your investment. And if Bitcoin goes down, then you are staying at the same price while the markets dip. And so this gives you the ability to buy back in when Bitcoin goes down to a lower price, which is it's very smart because you are accruing Bitcoin, which is the whole idea, is to, generate more and more cryptocurrencies. All right, continue. Developments around these pieces of crypto legislation could provide a further tailwind to the current rally. We will wait to see, eToro's Peters said. Elsewhere, prices of crypto stocks and exchange-traded funds, which, for those that don't know, it's only been this past year that ETFs were created to support and allow Wall Street to buy into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and there will be a Solana ETF coming out within the year. These are the only 3 ETFs available. And so that's why you've seen the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum go up to, it's skyrocketed over the last few months and weeks. Shares of crypto exchange Coinbase, which I'll talk about that after this, opens were up 1.8%, while Bitcoin holders MicroStrategy, climbed 3.5%. Crypto miner Mara Holdings was up 0.1% in U.S. trading. Analysis at Oppenheimer said they are cautious on Coinbase ahead of its quarterly results, scheduled for July 31st, but believe a more attractive entry point could happen after the earnings, and increase their price target on the stock to $417 from $395 per share. Hong Kong listed spot Bitcoin ETFs launched by China AMC, Harvest, and Bosetta all hit record highs. Reporting by Michael Lajarczyk in New York, Ray Wee in Singapore, and Tommy Regnor in London. Additional reporting by Struthi Shekinar. Oh, sorry. That was the end of that report. And now I just want to read this really quick on the 3 crypto bills. Then I'll answer questions and I'll share some poems and, share some commentary, get your opinion, share some comments, and we'll just And I'm also going to tell you how to get yourself involved in the market should you desire to do so, especially if you have no idea about crypto, blockchain, anything, but just have an interest. Even if you were to just put $10 a week, $10 a month, it will accrue and it will add up and you'll get paid in crypto, which will compound. All right, the 3 crypto bills. The U.S. House of Representatives passed three key crypto-related bills during what was dubbed Crypto Week in mid-July 2025. These bills are expected to bring regulatory clarity to the cryptocurrency industry and align with President Donald Trump's agenda to make the U.S. a global leader in digital assets. The Genius Act, Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. This bill passed the House with a vote of 308 to 122 and had already passed the Senate with broad bipartisan support in June of 2025. It establishes a regulatory framework for U.S. dollar-backed stablecoins, aiming to provide consumer protections and regulatory clarity. The bill sets requirements for stablecoin issuers, including compliance with U.S. anti-money laundering and sanctions laws, and mandates that issuers hold reserves backing the cryptocurrency, and it's backed 1-to-1, not like banks currently that do the fiscal, the fiat, the fiscal reserve lending, where they only have to have 10% or less of money in their banks, and they can loan out the rest. That's not the way the crypto industry is going to work. It has to be backed. $1, one stablecoin, $1 of stablecoin has to be backed by $1 of value in crypto. All right, number 2, the Clarity Act. The Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, passed by the House with a vote of 294 to 134. This bill seeks to provide a clear regulatory framework for the broader cryptocurrency market. It defines how digital assets should be regulated, distinguishing between those treated as commodities, regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and those considered securities, regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. In general, tokens associated with mature blockchains like Bitcoin will be considered commodities. The bill will now go to the Senate for debate and possible amendments. The Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, passed by the House with a narrow vote of 219 to 210. This bill prohibits the U.S. Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency. Praise God. Because right now, the Federal Reserve notes, they're backed by nothing. And they can continue to just print them out of thin air. And, it creates inflation. Whereas crypto will be backed by either a basket of commodities, gold, silver. There's going to be a lot of real-world assets. Even real estate will be put on the blockchain. Artwork, all kind of stuff is going to arrive on the blockchain that has value, which is a government-issued form of digital cash. The bill is intended to protect privacy and individual financial freedom by preventing the government from creating a digital currency that could be used for surveillance or control over individual financial transactions. The bill will also go to the Senate for further consideration, which I'm so glad they did this because it keeps the government from monopolizing cryptocurrency, and it keeps the Federal Reserve from, basically buying out all other crypto projects and monopolizing digital assets. These bills represent a significant step toward legitimizing the cryptocurrency industry in the U.S. and are seen as a major win for crypto advocates who have invested heavily in political lobbying and campaign contributions. However, the legislation has also faced criticism from some Democrats. They're such ding-dongs, but it is what it is, who argue that it could pose long-term financial risk and lack sufficient safeguards against conflicts of interest involving President Trump and his family crypto ventures. It's ridiculous just because he created a meme coin. They don't say nothing about revoking the Glass-Steagall Act, which kept Wall Street from being able to do all kind of funny money things with their Ponzi economics. But they always criticize Trump, and yet he is doing a lot to bring America to the forefront. Whereas the Biden administration and the Democrats, they were against crypto so much that it kept the industry from evolving, and it forced companies to leave the United States and to establish their base in other countries in other parts of the world, which is why Singapore and other nations are very much ahead of America with regard to crypto and projects and that kind of thing. All right. Let me check the chat. All right. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. So we're taking a look. All right. I don't see any right off the hand, so I'm going to talk about how everybody, each one of you, can access, should you desire, how to access the market and how you can benefit. Which again, because these three bills just passed Congress and are being implemented, and Trump signed, just passed an executive directive that allows Roth IRAs to also purchase cryptocurrency ETFs and to have them as part of retirement portfolios, pension funds, all of that. They are recommending putting 5 to 10% of their assets into the market. And crypto right now is still only a 3-point-something trillion dollar market, meaning it's very, very small, which is why you see such incredible moves happening. Even with Bitcoin being a multi-trillion dollar asset, it's now larger than Apple, I believe. It's the 5th largest asset in the world, beneath gold, Google, Amazon, a couple of other things. Silver, I believe, also is a larger asset class. So the cryptocurrency space is still very, very small. And it's a 24/7 market, meaning that people from all over the world are all, waking up. Whenever they wake up, they have their trading, and it continues to trade nonstop, which is unlike any kind of stock market, especially, they trade 9 to 5, then they have after hours markets. But for the most part, everybody in the world, the crypto markets are all accessible to everybody in the world in the same way. in the same manner. And so there can't be manipulation in the way that individual stock markets have been manipulated by those that have large, assets, that have a lot of money. They're able to move prices just by pouring in a lot of funds into those assets and into those stocks. Or they will buy back shares with the value increase of their stocks, or by selling preferred stock, things like that. So anyways, the crypto market is still new. The regulatory framework is still being established. And so my recommendation for those that, if you are wanting to even just dip your toes into this space and just to get a feel for what you're doing, is to first open up a Coinbase account. You can use the referral link that I have in the description of this video. If you desire to do so, you can get $30 of free Bitcoin just by opening up a Coinbase account. And on Coinbase, they also have a section that is called Earn. And what happens is they will introduce certain cryptos to the holders of, the long-term holders that have accounts on Coinbase. And they will give you a chance to earn free crypto just by being a member of their platform. And it was, when they first opened up, you could literally earn $200 in free crypto just by going through the earn section. I don't know how much it is now. It's been a while since I've done it, but every once in a while they do introduce new blockchains and they give away free crypto. And as I said, you can use the referral link after you open up your own Coinbase account. Tell your family members, your loved ones, about it, and they can do the same. And you can each, benefit $30 in free crypto. And as I said, if Bitcoin goes up to $1 million, you're going to 5x your money. That $30 will become $150 in that amount of time. And also, as I said, you can stake your crypto. You can't stake Bitcoin on Coinbase, but there are other platforms that you can stake your most other cryptocurrencies, and you can earn a percentage of interest. Recently, there's one that just came out on the Avalanche being an entirely different blockchain. A guy named Elio Trades and his friend Andrew Becker, they created a DEX. A DEX is a digital currency, a decentralized exchange, and it allows people to, swap tokens from one token to another, or to sell crypto and to go into stable coins so that you don't lose profit. And it does all of this without you having to be a member of the platform, without you having to provide ID or even tell people who you are. It's all decentralized and anonymous. And so right now, this black hole exchange, this DEX, which is on Avalanche, they are offering some very high yield. And it's only because they've been less than a week open. And already in a week, they've taken custody of $117 million in crypto assets. And so a lot of money is moving over to that particular platform, and people are parking their assets, lending their crypto to that platform as liquidity. Liquidity just means that people are providing their crypto so that when other people come to the exchange to swap tokens, there is those tokens available to do the transactions. And when you provide your crypto to these kind of dexes, you get paid a high percent of interest. For instance, right now, I put some Bitcoin, it's called WBTC, on this blockchain, and another one called BTCA. You can provide liquidity for these two assets for your Bitcoin that you're going to hold anyways, and they are currently paying 39% interest. And the reason it's doing this is because the DEX is new. The more money they take in, the more they take custody, and the more assets that people basically upload, provide as liquidity, the less that yield will be. But for right now, the yield is very, very high. So if you are familiar with how to bridge assets and how to stake your coins, then you can do this right now on this DEX. It's called blackhole.xyz is the name of the website. And they've been open for less than a week. And they are both of these individuals have been in crypto for a very long time, are very familiar to listeners. Elio Trades and Andrew Becker both have YouTube channels where they've been part of some very heavy projects for a very long time. And so they're to be trusted. And because they already have that reputation for being trusted, many, many people are parking their cryptos on this new DEX, which it's just become the largest DEX on this Avalanche chain. And Avalanche itself is going to increase in value. It's already gone up from like $18 to $25 in just a couple of weeks since this DEX has opened up. And so even whereas you use Ethereum for the Ethereum blockchain, you use the Avalanche token on the Avalanche blockchain. And so if you want to know more, this is a little bit more advanced, you can contact me, and I do, basically consignment to where I help people with their crypto assets and consultation, sorry. And so if you are interested, you can contact me, and I will give you, greater direction on how to do it. But just to give you an idea, I put $3,000 in assets on this DEX, and I'm earning $17 a day in what is called the black token. And I'm taking the black token every day, and I'm just parking it back into the DEX. And there's a lot of different liquidity pools that pay different yield, but to get paid 39% on Bitcoin is insane. I mean, it's an insane amount of interest right now. And this is only going to last for maybe a few months. And then the pools will be paying less and less yield as they accrue more and more interest and more value. And so just something to check out. And if you're interested and you need help, you can contact me, zengarcia2010@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to help you out. But for those of you, which most of you are new to these topics, new to this platform, new to this investment strategy, I'm going to tell you how you can involve yourself and how you can reap the benefits and how you can get ahead of what is the mass adoption that is coming. Because the train is at the station, but there's not even, the conductor hasn't even come out to start to take it down the track. And so, passengers like myself and, those of you that are early adopters, you are sitting on the outside, of the train and waiting to get on board. And, the train's about to leave the station, especially now with the regulatory, all of the laws, legislation, Congress finally taking their, what they should be doing serious and getting on it with creating this regulatory structure, this regulatory framework. And so, quickly, Coinbase, just open up an account, and when you connect your bank account to it, open up a new dedicated bank account, one that is brand new. Make it for crypto only. Only deposit what you are going to put into the platform, into that account. That way it keeps it separate from all of your other financial information and your financial stuff. And then once you do what is called KYC, which is know your customer, you're going to have to provide a picture of your license front and back, provide your information, email, phone number, that kind of stuff, your bank account information. And once you have all that connected, then Coinbase will allow you to purchase crypto with fiat money, meaning you can use your US dollars and your bank account to then start purchasing a whole basket of cryptocurrencies. Now, I'm going to also remember, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm going to give you a little bit of direction on what to do once you do open up your Coinbase account and once you start investing in crypto projects. I would purchase Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Those are the three largest. Those are the three that Wall Street has access to. And those are the three that huge money is moving into these projects. Because there are ETFs. There are electronic traded funds on Wall Street, which it's crazy. I don't know why they would, but Wall Street is Wall Street. They will buy these electronic traded funds in order to gain exposure to crypto. But what they can't do is they can't stake that crypto because they don't have custody of it. Whereas the holders of those projects, Grayscale, Coinbase, other, Kraken, there's a number of different cryptocurrency platforms, exchanges that do custody for their customers, and they give you the option to stake on their platforms. But the ETFs, you can't stake through the ETFs. Not yet. At some point, the ETFs are going to set themselves up to where they can stake the crypto that is being purchased by Wall Street. And when they do that, that's a guaranteed win. Because in the case of Ethereum, you're going to gain 5 to 10% interest just by holding Ethereum. And so over the course of a year, if they put $100,000 in, they're going to have $5,000. They're going to earn $5,000 to $10,000 in Ethereum just from holding it. It's going to pay out interest, and it's going to compound. So that if Ethereum goes up from, as it just recently did, from $1,600 to over $3,000, it doubled its value. So if you would have had, $5,000 in Ethereum in your Coinbase account, you would now have over 10,000 because you would be compounding interest, and the value of your crypto also increased as well. And so you really, it's a win-win situation in my opinion. And I also recommend that when you have a day, and this happens quite often, you will have a day when any crypto will go up 30 to 50% in one single day. And if that happens, take profit. Take a little bit of money off the board, even if it's 10%, 5%, whatever. Just so you put that profit into your account. And when the value goes down, you can buy back in. And you will, in doing so, you will accrue more crypto. All right. Tell you a couple other things. Now, as far as the price of crypto, even though Bitcoin is 118,000, almost 119,000 right now, and still, you can purchase $10 in Bitcoin. You can purchase $20 in Bitcoin. You don't have to purchase a whole Bitcoin to gain exposure to it. Ethereum is $3,642 right now. XRP is $3.20 per coin. The other one, Solana, it is $190 a coin right now. And I always recommend that people buy on red days whenever the projects go down. If you are patient and don't have FOMO, fear of missing out, just wait, because right now we're in a bull market. And what that means is that people are buying the dips. So whenever the market goes down a certain amount, people are buying in, and they are buying up, and so that the price rises again. Now, right now, if you know anything about indicators, the relative strength index on crypto is at a high. I think we're over 80 in short term. Long term, absolutely bullish. I think crypto is going to continue to gain, and I think that we are also in what's called the banana zone, where crypto skyrockets in very short duration. I believe that the next 3 months, we're going to see a lot of crypto projects go to all-time highs and increase 25, 30, 50%. Some of them are going to do 5x, meaning that you will 5 times the money that you put into certain coins. I don't think this is going to happen with Bitcoin or Ethereum, but I do think, like Solana, I think it will 5x. XRP, I think it will also, do gain more than just double. And so, there's a lot of projects that are just pennies on the dollar. There are some cryptos that are less than a penny on a dollar. And so there's a lot of projects out there that you can invest in. But again, this is just my personal recommendation. I think that people should put, if you're going to put, like $1,000 in, put 75% of that money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. However much of each you want. Maybe 25% each would be good. You can also stake your Solana also on Coinbase. I believe it's 4.9% right now. And you can unstake it if you need to sell it in just a couple of days' time. And so, something to consider. Ethereum and Solana you can stake on Coinbase. And also, if you sell your crypto for USDC, which is a stable coin and pegged to the dollar, then you will gain also, I think they pay 5 to 9% interest on the stable coin. So when you sell your crypto and take profit just by holding USDC, you will also accrue value and you will increase your value. And they will pay you in whatever crypto you're in. If you stake Solana, they'll pay you in Solana. If you stake Ethereum, they'll pay you in Ethereum. If you sell and you take profits, you're holding USDC, then you will get paid in USDC. Now, the reason, like for instance, I just sold some Solana because it hit $200, which is near its all-time high. And whenever a crypto project reaches and nears its all-time high, especially if it goes up, which it's gone up, let me tell you. Solana was up 20%, 25% in 7 days' time. And even with its current retracement and it going down in value a little bit, it's still up 10% over the last week. But there's a lot of coins that are, 15, 20% up in a week's time. And so whenever that happens, I think you should take a little money off the table. Because, you don't want to watch it go up and then watch it go down without doing anything. I'm not one of those people that hodl. Hodling means hold on for dear life. I'm a trader, meaning that I have no emotional link or, I don't have any emotional sentiment tied to any particular crypto. I will buy it and sell it, and, I'll sell it when it goes up and try to buy it when it goes down. And that's the part of the market. Now, there's also technical indicators. This is a little bit more advanced. But really, you only have to watch a couple of things to get an idea on how the market is moving. One is called the Fear and Greed Index. The Fear and Greed Index has been monitoring supply and demand and interest and purchasing, the volume, purchasing volume, selling volume, all of that. It has done this since 2017, I believe. But this indicator has been spot on, so that when we reach extreme fear, and this indicator is in the red, that is without a doubt the time that you should be buying. And this is when people will be the most fearful. They will be scared to hold on to their coins. They're going to be scared of losing money. They're going to be selling their coins, even at a loss, just so that they don't lose any more. And that's the time that you should be buying. Warren Buffett, he says that, you should be buying when there's blood on the streets. And this is on those big red days. And as long as you listen to and now there's another thing too, that on certain exchanges, they have AI trading bots so that it takes all the emotions out of it. The bot itself, you just park a certain amount of money, whatever you want to invest in it, and you do what's called copy trading. And then this bot will trade, buy when it's, on those red days, and sell on those extreme green days. And so it takes the emotions out of it. Because for humans, and for people that are not used to the crypto markets and the volatility, because there is extreme volatility, which, is great because it means that, You can make a lot of money. You can also lose a lot of money. But if you learn how to read the indicators, and the indicators that I'm talking about are one's called the Relative Strength Index. This indicator goes from between 0 to 100. And like the Fear and Greed Index, it will tell you when the market is overbought or oversold. And it will tell you when you are in between these two extremes. And so just watching this indicator, you can learn where you are and when you should buy and when you should sell. All right, I'm going to take some more water. I'll be right back. The entire market and even stocks, it moves like a heartbeat. And the heartbeat, the pulse of the market is created and maintained by liquidity, which is cash flow. And so the more cash enters into the market, the more the relative strength index will rise. And when we reach between 80 to 100, those are historically the points where Bitcoin will reach its all-time highs. And that's the time when you want to sell. And anytime the relative strength index, and there's another one called the stochastic relative strength index, both of these indicators show where we are according to volume and according to supply and demand. And when the relative strength index is below 20, that historically has been the time to buy. And I'll give you, for instance, 2008, when Bitcoin was created, that was the debacle of the housing market crash. That sent Wall Street and all investment classes into plunge. Same as COVID. When COVID came and all the markets plunged, everything was locked down, that was another buying opportunity. And at both of those times, the RSI, Relative Strength Index, was below 20. And so if you just watch these two indicators, you will get an idea for where we are in, according to whether you should buy or whether you should sell. The other indicator that you need to look at is the time frame. When you pull up a chart for any cryptocurrency, you can pull it up for 1 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year. And the indicators will be giving you different, as far as the pulse of the market, where we are short term, medium term, and long term. Sometimes you will be oversold in a market long term, when you're looking at a chart for a week to a month to a year. But you may be in that day or in that hour oversold, meaning that the markets have overextended, meaning that you want to wait till the RSI resets to buy back in. You don't want to buy in when the markets are overbought. And so it's a very simple thing to monitor. And once you learn how to just check these indicators and to read a chart, you learn things like, what is a bull flag, what is a bear flag, certain patterns, cup and handle, W-shaped patterns, Elliott waveform, all these different things. You don't have to learn all this, but if you do, it gives you even greater understanding on where the market will trend Fibonacci levels, things like that. These are all advanced techniques. You don't need to learn that. All you really need to do is just dollar cost average, because it's my opinion that just doing that, just doing that since 2008 or whenever Bitcoin became available, 90% of the people that invested in Bitcoin are in profits. I mean, there's been a lot of crypto millionaires printed, and there will be going into this upcoming year. Again, it's my opinion that we're going to see Bitcoin move astronomically. Ethereum and other coins also, which I would stay with the blue chips. If you do want to speculate and you want to purchase, and like for instance the Trump meme coin, if you want to purchase meme coins, then do so with a very little bit amount of your portfolio. Save 10%. Like if you have $1,000 to invest, save $100 for speculative investments, because certainly there are coins that you can buy that will do a 100x, meaning that if you put $100 into this coin, you're going to make what, $10,000? And this happens all the time. People literally are becoming millionaires over certain coins. And so, yeah, you can speculate, but for the most part, keep the majority of your money in the blue chips. And that would just simply be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. The other thing about cryptocurrencies is that you don't want to have 100 different coins. You want to have your money narrowly focused. Like, for people that have stock portfolios, often, like, especially if they're buying high dividend yield stocks, they're buying a bunch of different stocks. They're diversifying their assets so that they can gain the dividend yields that are paid out on those assets, which that's a great strategy. That is a great strategy. But it's the same thing for crypto, because you can stake your crypto and you can gain interest on that. Not only that, but you can also lend your crypto out and borrow against it. So, there's a lot of things that can be done with crypto that you don't need to learn about, because especially if you're new, all you need to do, and I'm going to generalize this again, and then we're going to go into reading some of these poems, and we'll end the show with that. And if you have any questions, I am monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions about any of this, just put it forward. But as I said, just open up a Coinbase account, create a bank account that is separate for crypto only, fund it, and then start doing dollar cost averaging. If you receive money from the government or whatever, and your money drops on the 3rd of the month, perhaps then have where it automatically buys once a month, $50, $100, whatever you're going to do, on the 4th of that month, and just let it accumulate. And then once you start to accumulate a certain amount, then stake it. And once you stake it, you'll start to earn compounding interest on your crypto. Very easy way to gain access to this market. And remember, you're going to bank. This is going to be the best investment you've ever made. And the reason being is because the train has not even left the station. The conductor hasn't even arrived to begin his work. We're all passengers sitting around waiting on the train, and we're getting ready to get on board. And when we get on board, remember, and you can look this up yourself, Trump is going to make America the cryptocurrency capital of the world. And he's already signed an executive directive to create a Bitcoin reserve here in America to combat the debt, because dollars just lose money because of the constant printing, the quantitative easing, and the inflation. That's what causes inflation. But for crypto, because it's a finite class, you can't create more than what is being mined. The value of Bitcoin is going to continue to rise to astronomical levels. There was a time where, people laughed at those of us that said that Bitcoin would reach $100,000. Really, I didn't even think it would hit 100,000 as fast as it did. It wasn't, even what 2017 the high was 20,000. 2024, which was the next bull market. No, 2021. The next bull market, I think the high was 70 something thousand. And this year we went over the all-time high. We've been creating new all-time highs over and over and over. And we're still going to continue to do that because there's no resistance above us. We are in what is called price discovery, meaning that there's no historical record of how Bitcoin will react once it reaches these levels. This price discovery means that Bitcoin will quickly rise to different Fibonacci levels. And, for people that are advanced technicians, they'll know what I'm talking about. You can determine Fibonacci levels by taking an indicator called the Fibonacci and tracing it from the bottom of the market to the top of the market. And then it will tell you all of these different levels. And it's these levels that the markets stop at for support and resistance. And the next two levels are 133,000 and then 157,000, and then after that $200,000+ for Bitcoin. And so the party's only beginning. Yes, you have missed early adoption, yes, but still there's a lot of space to run. And it's only this year that Wall Street has got into the crypto markets. It's only this year that the ETFs have been passed by the Securities and Exchange Commission so that Wall Street can actually invest in crypto projects. All right, I'm going to find a poem. This is one of my favorites, and it's one that many of you have probably heard, but I'll read it anyways because it is appropriate to what we are talking about tonight. And also remember that the globalists, the powers that be, they have a great reset planned. And that great reset will, in my opinion, change from what is paper dollars to digital. And it will support the framework of what is blockchain and the adoption of it. And we already see that there are huge sovereign wealth funds, even just in, the Arab nations, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, others, they have a huge amount of cash from the selling of their oil. And they want to put it into something that will increase in value. And so they are also creating huge wealth funds to start buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Those are the most coveted. And then, there will be other projects, smaller projects that will come on board as well. XRP, Cardano, things like that. All right. SUI, SUI, that's a great one. That blockchain is as fast as Solana. And it right now is only $4 a coin. And XRP is only $3 and something a coin. So, again, it doesn't take a lot of money to gain access to some of these crypto projects. There's another one called SEI, S-E-I. I believe it's like 50 cents a coin right now. And it is also another very fast project. And then, I'm not going to mention that again, but Black Hole, that DEX, it's going to create millionaires over the next few months as well. All right, in the same way that Jupiter did when they opened as a DEX on Solana. This is called the Grand Deception as Matrix. The Grand Deception as Matrix is all-encompassing, consuming, and broad-reaching, yet so covert in imposition, it is largely unnoticed by those born into its nurturance. So subtle is its programmed assimilation, one was never even granted choice to deviate from its forced indoctrination. Most people are raised unknowingly as slaves to its order, incarcerated by the deviant proposition of its finite machination. Generations of elders, grandparents, and parents ensure that the young foster compliance to their inherited beliefs without ever second-guessing their foundational instillment. Children assume swift accord with the lifelong sentences posturing them for compliant role as good little worker bee, or the soldier ant willing to surrender its life for the benefit of queen and hive. So few of even the far walkers are able to decode the dialectic fashioned as mind-controlled prison. Even those holding advantage, privilege with detailed instruction on how to see, hear, and understand, are lost to resolution when it comes to connecting all the dots underlying truth in hidden mystery. Few are granted prerogative, insight into how revelation unlocks all speculation, illuminating the real secrets of who, why we are here, what we are here to do, and where we are going in the mad debacle of this constrained season. All right, I think I'll do just a couple more. This one is called The Stairway to Heaven. Exiled from paradise and banished from the kingdom, we are caught up in false illusion and the need to find our way home. All things hinge upon the recognition that we are indeed trapped in a fallen state and in a fallen world. For the time being, I must assume responsibility for a rediscovery of these existential mysteries. I'd rather it no other way. Do you not remember the legacy of betrayal enticing our ancestral fall from grace. First, adultery came into being, then murder. Beguilement led to slaughter, war between bloodlines and lineages, the true memory of which lies inherently dormant, buried in the far corridors of one's own soul's knowing. I know it's hard dismantling the prevailing madness, keeping all from making sense of the end from the beginning. Elohim watches us from on high with keen-eyed interest, hoping we will awaken to our inheritance and equate our birth into this world with the unbridled and subjective importance of this and every occasion. There are those hungry for purpose who, like me, are in pursuit of the mystique, holding kingdom as supreme goal of eternity. Most live lives in hapless nonchalance, failing to consider who they are really when it comes to courting secret and understanding season in the face of the supreme. Few faced with the finality of death and judgment can claim to have lived a life worthy of eternity. All right. And I'm just reading them kind of in order. This is the first book. The first few pages. I'll read to 8 more minutes, and then I'll finish up with commentary, maybe prayer. All right, this one is called The Seers for New Season. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is a folly and a shame unto him. Proverbs 18:13. The scriptures read meaninglessly to those unversed in parabolic citation, blinding most to that which is hidden in plain sight, as puzzle for all to see. The profundity of gospel message seems gibberish to one unskilled in translation and unscrupled in proper mode for decryption. Like Morse code, there are those capable of interpreting communications, messages from on high, sent to direct, guide, and assist those ready and capable of receiving the miracle of saving grace established by the cross of salvation. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. Proverbs 25:2. Unfathomable the attainment ensured by Yahushua, Savior, Messiah, and extended, gifted freely to those focused on spirit, and eluding those engrossed in the materialism of mass market appeal. The matrix has been contrived to hide the real goal of why Christ had to be born of the flesh, taken on mortal embodiment as means to rectify the fall and end the facade of temporal separation. It is and has always been designated function to entertain those callous to spiritual pursuit and disregard for kingdom. Adam came into being from two virgins, from the Spirit and from the Virgin of the earth. Christ therefore was born from a virgin to rectify the fall which occurred in the beginning. the Gospel of Philip. All right, I think this will probably be the last one. This is called Predestinated. We are the inheritors of the most prodigious legacy and opportunity. Apportioned the freedom of life's choice, we as humanity are granted the miracle of existential inclusion within the confines of this grand world. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And the one who knocks, the door will be open. Matthew 7, verses 7 and 8. Once angels, swift and strong, witness to the grand unfolding, established as earthly foundation, for the heavens extended as curtain above the greater mystery. When it comes to the enigma of kingdom, all have equal chance to unseal every abstruse consideration, memorialized in scroll by the efforts of the ancient scribes. Though much has eluded many prophets and kings, in you dwells the memory, the knowledge of how the word of the Lord by and through wisdom, the Ruach HaKodesh, sang the Genesis creation into manifest being. We are called to more than the expectations of this world. And though it's been little season since we've entertained the sunshine of higher spaces, no remedy can replace the intrigue of such wonder, the insight of which can never diminish, the emblazoned memory burned to soul of Elohim's love for all. No matter their attempts to hide the truth from those yielding in full to greater calling, Yahuwah always finds way to shepherd his flock from the ravening wolves encircling for slaughter. Save passage barred, he will split the sea and manifest escape for those who will, in advancing generations, pass on privy riddles beholden to few. You are a keeper of those secrets, a guardian of the mystery christened for appointed hour, to deliver once common knowledge to the people of this time, for we are that generation which saw the fig tree bloom. And ye, take ye the likeness thereof, learn a parable from the fig tree. So soon as the shoot thereof is come forth, and the twigs grown, the end of the world shall come. And I, Peter, answered and said unto him, Interpret unto me concerning the fig tree, whereby we shall perceive it. For through all its days doth the fig tree send forth shoots, and every year it bringeth forth its fruit for its master. What then meaneth the parable of the fig tree? We know it not. And the master, Lord, answered and said unto me, Understandest thou? The fig tree is the house of Israel. The Apocalypse of Peter. All right, I think we have time for one more. Let me find a good one. All right. Prometheus, the nemesis of Elohim and man. Ye are of your father the devil, said Messiah to the group of Pharisees gathered there to conspire his murder. He said of their ancestral line, ye are of those that have historically, throughout all the ages of humanity, from Abel the firstborn of Adam, to Zacharias the high priest and father of his cousin John the Baptist, assassinated the prophets, sent to instruct the herd on his word. The adversary of Elohim and man, the children of Cain, are those derived from Samael, the seraphic enchanter, regarded by Scripture as the viper of God, the feathered serpent and the angel of death, assigned to once guard the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He is the power, principality, ruler of darkness, directing wickedness from high places, the controlling eye sitting atop the Illuminati pyramid, featured on the monopoly currency of U.S. federal Ponzi reserve notes. He is the voice manipulating in direction the Masonic leaders pushing forth new world order as unfolding global direction. He is the Oz hidden behind the mask of discreet and undisclosed locale, the nemesis lurking in the shadows, celebrating mad wickedness. The purity of his bloodline determines an allotment, the divine right of kings, queens, princes and princesses, set to reign in rule over the masses. The children of the women, the lineage of Adam, through Sheth, are those regarded as nothing more than a servant class of useless eaters. Few ever become aware of this setup, comprising the clandestine hierarchy of the transnational Luciferian estate, spread like the tentacles of an octopus across the widespread reach of the matrix, holding all victim to charade. Yeah, we're going to end it there. Let me take a quick peek at the chat room. I hope that all of you enjoyed the reading and enjoyed the information on crypto. If you have questions, I can take them for the Ask Me Anything shows once a month. Or you can just reach out to me. I'm also available for crypto consultations. It's one of the things that I do. ZenGarcia2010@gmail.com. And I'm so glad that I was able to share with you some poems and some of the work that I've done in, now bringing to publication what has been a lot of handwritten poems just sitting there in this leather-bound journal and other, spiral-bound journals as well. Putting all that together, I tried to put them in dated order as much as I could, but I didn't label all of the poems with dates of when they were written, but some of them are. And so if you would, please do like and subscribe. Help us to reach the 50K mark. We've been suppressed and held back for years, and we've been stuck on 45,100 for, it seems, a decade. And of course, our videos are deleted, they're suppressed, our numbers are skewed, and I just want to fight against their tactics. And with your simple help, it can be easily done. But I just want to again thank all of you, Tammy and Brick, Sherry, Bruno, all of those that are in the chat that join us for our ministry and that have been supporting us for a number of years and decades. We are greatly appreciative of all of you. And I honor all of you, and I pray that the Most High continue to keep you in His grace, in His protection. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. He says your poetry is beautiful. Thank you. I really appreciate you saying so. And hello, Sharon. And so we'll pick it up. Lisa will be with us next week, and we'll pick up the projects. We're going to go back into the Great Commission 3. And we're going to continue to read from all of those apocalyptic narratives. Thank you, Sherry. I love y'all as well. Love you so very much. Appreciate all of you. And I'm honored to call you family, call you friends. And help us to, all of us, let's continue to do the work, taking care of those that are less fortunate, those that are in need, and to bend the knee. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Sharon. She says that you sound like your old self. It's crazy that it's been a year and that when I got out, my voice was so compromised that I was unable to even speak, above a whisper. But yes, my voice is getting stronger. And I guess all that singing is really helping. But, okay, everybody, I'll see you Saturday. I appreciate all of you. May you be blessed, and may the Most High watch over, keep you all safe. Let's continue to pray for our president, his cabinet, RFK, who's really doing some good things, removing high fructose corn syrup and all of these dyes and things from processed preservatives, all that stuff. They're even forcing Coke to put cane sugar in their products. Imagine that. Praise God. And yes, let's continue to pray for our country, our people, and let's pray for peace and no wars, an end to all the wars, and grace. Until next week, all. Be blessed. Good night. Shalom.